r/Askreddit. What is the stupidest thing you thought as a child? Not me, but my son. He didn't want us to get a new TV because he liked the shows on the old one. That by mixing chocolate and vanilla I could make caramel. I had seen photos of some sperm cells and thought that their shape was pretty similar to a head, glands. This made me think that the head is a sperm cell and every man has one sperm cell at a time. Whenever you have UAL, the head just p-butes into the woman and you're left there without a head. I thought that every song that played on the radio was being performed somewhere live, and when you turned up the volume the singer would sing louder at her venue. When I was 3 or 4, I asked my dad where babies come from. I got whole sperm plus egg equals baby, which made some kind of sense. Then I asked where the sperm comes from, and he said it comes from the daddies. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I stopped asking questions there, and had a mental picture of my dad peeing through a tea strainer and catching a little flopping tadpole, which he would then stuff into my mom's. It took a few years before I was disabused of that notion, probably on the playground at school. I used to think that the money offering collected at church would be put into a huge cannon to be shot up to heaven for Jesus. That if 2 artists made a song together it must mean they are a couple. I thought that any time any woman went to the hospital, it was to have a baby. My 98-year-old great-grandmother was in the hospital and all I wanted to know is when the baby was gonna get here. I thought that oral was a slang term for French kissing, and therefore butt must mean 2 people standing back to back, rubbing butts. Was just making out with no clothes on. My stepdad told me if I ate too much chicken I would have feathers under my arms like grandma. Totally bought it. When I was around 6 my mom's grandmother butted away and my dad's father butted away. I told my mom that her grandfather should marry my dad's mom so they wouldn't be lonely. That the sun never set, and the night sky was just a giant, black tarp with holes poked into it, and the sunlight shining through made the stars. I thought catching on fire as an adult is common because of all the fire safety in elementary and them beating stop, drop, and roll into our heads. I thought people died by blowing the candles on their 100 years party. All dogs were male. All cats were female. That there was someone who sat behind a couple hundred computer screens and controlled every traffic light in the city. I wasn't the sharpest bulb in the bag of hammers. That S were on the front. I couldn't fathom how thermoses worked. People told me that they keep hot things hot, and cold things cold. But I was like, how in the fudge does it know whether the thing inside it is hot or cold so as to keep it that way? Took me many a year to figure that out. I am sure this is pretty common, but I used to think before color TV everything was black and white. I remember as a child asking my nan what it was like when they saw color for the first time. Eating sliced bread would make me immortal. I thought burglary was a profession and that criminals' shifts started when the sun set and they'd be on all night robbing houses. To calm my fears, I would put my blinds up a little, lay down in a pile of stuffed animals and freeze, staring out the window. My thought was I'd look like a doll, and if a burglar saw me through the window, they wouldn't realize I was a human, and then I could get up and call 911 when they looked away. I fell asleep in that stuffed animal pile every night for 2 years. Edit, words. I thought Santa hated me because he didn't give me presents on Christmas. I'm Jewish and my parents didn't want me to be that kid who told his Sealbit mates that Santa doesn't exist, so I ended up believing in Santa until I was about 8, when I saw 2 mall Santas get into a fight in the parking lot of the mall. That the eject button on my dad's car would send me flying through the roof. Swallowing gum makes it stuck in your stomach for 7 years or something. My grandpa told me that I could grow rocks. He took me outside and grabbed a rock with me, then we put it in a jar of water. I watched it for a while waiting for it to grow, but it never did. So I took a nap, and when I woke up the rock was a lot bigger. I was so excited and confused. Then I went and ate dinner with my grandma, and when we got back to their house there was a bunch of pebbles along with my rock. The bastard had babies. Turns out rocks can't really grow and my grandpa was just fudging with me. Oh well. I thought that the Holocaust was horrible because they were only given them cornbread to eat. I did not know that people were killed there. I noticed that I was able to jump off of the playground and land on my feet and be perfectly fine, so my child mind immediately decided I was a superhero and could land from any height and be perfectly fine. I went to my friend's house, jumped off his roof, and the next thing I remember is crying until my mom picked me up. When we were little, my twin sister was convinced that chicken, beef, etc. was produced by vacuuming the meat out of the living animal. The animal would then walk around all wobbly and meatless until more meat grew back. I was born one day before my dad's birthday, and I remember always being confused when I was younger as to why he was older than me when my birthday was before his. Young me didn't understand that years also existed. People need to love each other real hard to make a baby. That chocolate milk came from brown cows. There was a Skittles commercial where they put some Skittles in the ground and they grew into a Skittles tree. I tried growing a Skittles tree at the park for about 3 years before my family moved. Sometime around age 11 I heard about strap-ons, but I never saw a photo and was confused as to what they were or how they worked. My assumption was that it was but instead of going outward I thought it went in. I thought women were walking around with it inside of them while just shopping or whatever. For a few years whenever I saw a woman in public smiling I thought that maybe they had a strap in them. I thought I could literally grow up to become a dinosaur. I had a fear of telescopes as I thought if I wasn't careful with them I'd be abducted by aliens. I used to play The Sims a lot. As a child I thought actors would really die in movies. And how stupid is this? They can only be in one film in their life. I thought that in the state of Pennsylvania all buildings were made from pencils. Every year the trees in our yard would lose their leaves. Every year my dad raked up the leaves and put them into yard waste bags. With me so far? Kid logic dictated that my dad kept the bags of leaves in the shed, so he could glue them back onto the trees next spring. I did not grow up to become an arborist. I thought it was illegal to have the inside lights on in the car while someone was driving. I used to think people in high school were grown-ups until I got there. Then same thing about college. And now I know adulting is just faking it and acting like you know what you're doing. That my sister wouldn't be able to pee on me if I challenged her to. I thought that Harriet Tubman created an actual underground railroad, a locomotive train running underground that transported the slaves to freedom. When I was a little gremlin, that age where Komodo dragons are the most important thing in the world, so, somewhere between 1 to now. It obviously tracked that their bite kills awesome because of bacteria. I have those, thus, if I didn't brush my teeth I would gain not only the greatest superpower I knew of, I would become a dragon. I tested my bulletproof reasoning on myself daily. Apparently it didn't work. I thought that little people would sit inside the ATM all day and hand you the money. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe and smack that bell icon to stay up to date on our videos. See you next time.